Welcome to JMC Live, guys. We are on air this May 21st, 2011. I have to tell you, it's been quite crazy with all of the end times phenomenon that's going on. We have people wanting to hurt themselves. We've had people wanting to mock God, and I've seen it even at my school. Some guy said he was gonna go and raid his neighbor's house and take his 42-inch screen TV.
If the Rapture came?
If the Rapture came. So,
well, he can have it. We don't
I'm
need
like,
it. I don't
this
care.
has been nuts. And as you guys can tell, the Rapture has not happened. We're still here. Well, that's going to be one of the main topics that we'll be talking about tonight on JMC Live. We're going to be talking about what's going on with Israel. Israel is in the middle of has always been in the middle of some kind of calamity. And now, after what President Obama has said, and the violence is happening in Syria, and stuff that's been going on in Pakistan, and the other 22 countries that are out to pretty much destroy Israel, we're going to get into the Bible and explain to you how all this is going to fit into piece by piece. We'll also talk about the Secret Service interrogating a 13-year-old kid over Facebook, and what happened at Cornerstone Church at the Prayer for Israel event. And we're going to talk about an update, possible bill by Councilman in New York to make it a misdemeanor for watching porn in libraries, and how children around the age of 7, Skechers are making these crazy shoes for like workout, and they're having like a provocative like video and stuff going along with it.
It's really a degrading
creepy
video. And
then we're also going to talk about how youth today have been pretty much taken out of this gap, taken out of what society should be when it goes to church, with the whole pizza, playing of video games, and then you go grow up, and then you don't have pizza and video games anymore. You just go to church, and there's this big gap. All this is tonight on JMC Live. It is JMCLive.com, our 24/7 streaming network with music, free music for you to download, puppets, interviews. Speaking of interviews, we just did an interview with Jennifer Case, formerly known as the porn star Veronica Lane. And for those of you that have followed the Pink Cross Foundation, you're aware of who she is, but if you're not, we have an interview where we sit down and talk to her via phone, and we have a slideshow of video, pictures, and you can listen to her childhood and growing up, and how she got involved in stripping and pornography, and how she got out, and more importantly, how Jesus encountered her life and made a radical change. That's all happening tonight on JMC Live. The video is already posted of the interview. It's on the live stream player. It's also down below on the JMC Live playlist in the video library, and it will be added to our interviews little section on our TV bar later tonight. Breaking news of the day. Here's what's going on. We have Malaysian orphans, 15 boys killed. Looks like here in the United States, Kansas City, Oklahoma, Missouri, crazy tornadoes going on. Everyone's also talking about the 5.8 that happened in Japan again, and the sad news, even more sad news of the day for some people, Macho Man Randy Savage died of a heart attack and had a car crash. I remember as a kid, I remember the guy and what happened, and him wrestling and everything. He did the Slim Jim commercials. I remember he was like, "Ooh yeah, dig it," all that kind. I'm like snapping the Slim Jim and all that stuff. It was kind of, it was kind of interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in society. But,
and of course, the big breaking news of the day.
And of course, the breaking news of the day: the world has not ended.
Yeah, it hasn't ended.
It's really. I'm not going to use the word crazy because Miranda doesn't want me to say that.
You said it
it's really profound.
Already.
It's profound. It's
insane.
Obscure.
It's insane.
It's
And
it's
of
just
course,
too much.
The continued flooding in Louisiana,
Mississippi.
I'm looking. People are building.
I'm looking at Miranda and I are going to pull up a picture here if I can get it to load in time. Of people have pretty much built their own like dams
around their homes.
This is the Mail Online UK, and there's this picture here. Here we go.
Oh, it's crazy.
Of how they built this home up, and you can see there's like a road over here, but their whole garage is covered, and if this wasn't covered, this house would be covered almost up to the roof.
It probably would be, yeah, practically.
And it's kind of leaking, it looks like.
The one, scroll down, there's some more, too.
These are power lines, by the way.
Yeah.
So you can't really, and there's some more. This looks like this might be brick. So this one looks a little better.
No, it could be sandbags.
And there might be people here. There's something here and something over here. And then here's a few more nice homes. The trailer's not protected very well, but
at the same time,
yeah.
Why did you build your home in a floodplain?
Yeah, why do people build homes on floodplains? I think it's crazy. I think
because a lot of these places that's why they're flooded is because they built their homes on a floodplain, and it is sad. It's sad, but at the same time, why do you chance it? Why chance it?
Oh yeah, I have no idea why people chance it. It just doesn't register in my mind. Why would you sit here and play around with your life? Why would you play around with who you are and what you're about? Because in today's society, we can't just afford an opportunity of this magnitude to come in.
But also, knowingly, if you build your home in a floodplain, sometimes your insurance companies will not offer you flood insurance.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people need to start checking out. I don't know if many of you have looked at your current insurance claims forms to see if you would be covered with insurance or not, because this is something that's very highly important. You need to find out what's going to happen. You need to move forward in the right direction so we can get to that point. Now, here's what we're going to do. I told you about this, and I'm not going to play the clip.
Yeah, we're going into News of the Week.
News of the Week. This was posted on Tuesday about this kid who makes a Facebook post in Tacoma. I believe this is Washington. He's a 7th grader, so he's over the age of 13. Has his parents' permission to use Facebook. And he says Osama is dead and Obama needs to be careful because there could be suicide bombers. Which is kind of a logical statement, you would think. But the Secret Service decides to check this kid out. The Secret Service. I think that's a little too much for me. I think it's gone
what they did was they showed
way above and beyond.
They showed up at the kid's school. They never told the parents. Nobody told the parents this was happening until somebody called and said, "You need to get down here. Your child's being investigated." And they're like, "What?" And
investigated? Is that nuts or what?
Yeah, and of course the kid didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't trying to make a terrorist threat. And
that's too much for me.
It's pretty sad when when the Secret Service are going into middle schools and interrogating 13-year-olds. That's just downright sad.
Yeah, it is completely sad. It's completely uncalled for, not proper, and very extreme. Now, I think society as a whole needs to wake up and stop being as goofy as that. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to get into something, change subjects, something very serious. This is the letter from Pastor John Hagee to Glenn Beck. As you know, Glenn Beck supporting Israel. John Hagee has created the Christians for Jews Israel, organization, and the propaganda leaflets that were dropped, and I'm loading the video, said they stand in solidarity with Palestinians and demand the U.S. end support of an Israeli occupation. Now, what I'm going to show you as soon as the video will load and explain what am I talking about. It's quite...
The video's actually playing.
Yeah, I got it muted so they can't hear it. It's quite crazy, so I'm going to try and let you guys see this little thing here. These people start standing up in the middle of this Prayer for Israel event. Apparently they were from some San Antonio area, Muslim / Palestinian faction group, and they either went for free or paid a ticket. I don't really know how the event works.
It was at a church service.
This is their big Prayer for Israel event that they're had. As you can see, the church is packed. Hagee's speaking on the monitor. He's right there in the front. And all these people started dropping leaflets from the roofs and then speaking up, saying the genocide of all these different people, and it just went on and on and on. And I'm not playing the audio. I just wanted.
It's really scrambled because there's just so much.
Yeah, there's just so much going on, and like everyone claps as the security, which the security was involved, were actually police officers and other local people in the event. You would have thought they would have stopped. No, they did this the whole night. Apparently, there was almost 50 to 100 people saying no more killing of Palestinians. But here's the weird thing, and this is something I want to point out to everyone, and I have documentation for you to look at. This is a map of marked around in red. This is biblical times, and for those of you who aren't seeing it, it goes from Cairo, Egypt, all the way down to Aswan, across the sea to Saudi Arabia, right over through Hafar, parts of Kuwait, all the way through Abadan, Iraq, almost reaching Baghdad, going through Assyria, close to Apepa, and then even up further. Do you see this? And these is how it was in biblical times.
That was Israel.
This was also called Canaan land. There's a big old song called Going to Canaan's Land. Now I want to also show you guys something else, describing what has happened since the UN has gotten involved. Now the little map you're seeing on my screen to your left is the map. All in green stands for Palestinians, all in white is Jewish land. Prior to 1946, you would see land mostly inhabited by Muslims. During this time, Hitler and everyone got involved in the Middle East when they were doing their archaeology stuff and everything else, and they partnered with the Middle Eastern Muslims to eradicate the Jews. This is why a majority of what we consider right now Israel to be what you see. Now, between right before 46 to when 47 finally happened, you see part of the northern parts becoming white and the whole southern tip becoming white. Now, since 1947 to 1967, you'll see a third map. Majority of it now is white. Now, the 1947 plan, Jerusalem was still under Palestinian rule. When this one happened in 67, Jerusalem, depending on who you talk to, is not owned by Israel, is not owned by Palestine. It was kind of half and half. And as of 2000, most of it's been gone. Now, my question is, and this is kind of logical, most of the Middle East is Muslims. There are like a couple of million Jews. The rest of Egypt is Muslims and other people. And then Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Iran and Pakistan and everyone else. Why are the Jews not allowed to have any land? It's quite simple why they don't want them to have any land. Because they don't want anything being involved with the Jews and Christians, so on and so forth. And it's really creepy that society wants to do that. Now I'm going to show you what? Yeah. Coming up later tonight when we get more into the biblical prophecies about what's happening with Obama and everyone else in society, we're actually going to transfer over to Miranda, and she's going to give you an update on the porn in the library story about a misdemeanor possible bill. We're also going to cover about Skechers and what they're trying to sell for 7-year-olds. And then Miranda and I are going to talk together about what's going on with our youth and how we've become a church of economic commerce business and not in the business of being kingdom-minded, but worldly-minded, to the point that we're allowing R-rated video games such as Halo
Actually,
and modern
beyond R-rated, it's M-rated.
and Modern Warfare, whatever number, fill in the gap. And I've played these games and seen these games to make a point that these kinds of things should not be played by Christians or should not be played in a church. I understand. I have a lot of military friends that play this to prepare for their ear and hand-eye coordination skills for their military training. But I don't think something that a military exercise person should do should be involved in a church. Shooting someone in the head, and we'll talk more about this later. We're going to go right over to Miranda.
Okay, so, what was it? Almost 3 weeks ago, I shared an article about how it is perfectly legal to watch pornography on library computers in New York City. And there's nothing anybody can do about it because supposedly it's protected under free speech, even though little children be exposed to it. And it is and going to a library is supposed to be like where you family oriented. Well, after this article broke a few weeks ago, a councilman from New York has now introduced a bill that would make watching porn in New York libraries a misdemeanor, meaning that if a person, man or woman, anybody, child, anybody is caught watching porn in a New York City New York library, the legislation would make it a misdemeanor and could be punishable with up to $1,000 fine. So we are really hoping that this will go through because children do not need to be exposed to this. I mean, what is wrong with trying to preserve the innocence of youth? It seems like it's supposedly wrong, like, oh, we just shouldn't worry about the innocence of the youth today. But yeah, we need to pray about this because, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're religious or you're not religious. There are just morals, just standard morals that as human beings we should live by. And exposing children to pornography and this trash is not good. I mean, you don't have to be religious to disagree with what is going on in these libraries. And next, Skechers. Oh boy, this week they have been in a lot of trouble.
And I'm trying to understand.
NBC Today Show was covering this. I mean, Skechers shape-up shoes for 7 years. They're marketing these shape-up shoes that are. Kim Kardashian is like the model for shape-up shoes for women and and men. And so now Skechers thought, well, we need to market to kids. Kids need to get in shape. Kids are fat. Kids need to tone up their butts so they can look good. And their sizes go as far down, so small that 7-year-olds will be able to wear them. And it isn't for boys and girls, it is just for girls. And if you watch the YouTube video of the Shape Up Shoes for Girls ad it was playing on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, but it has been pulled because parents have been complaining. In the video, it shows all these girls like partying like, oh, we need to wear shape-up shoes, and she got her new shape-up shoes, and we need to wear our shape-up shoes, and we need to get fit, and we need to get toned. And then they showed the boys chasing after the girls. Well, the boys have been degraded. The boys are wearing hot dog outfits and cupcake outfits, and they're sluggish, like they're overweight, and they're ugly, and they're fat, and they can't keep up with the girls, and their new shape-up shoes. So, not only does the ad degrade try to tell little girls, well, their bodies aren't pretty. When I was 7, I was not overweight. I don't know hardly any 7-year-olds who were really overweight. I mean, 7-year-olds want to be active. They don't need to wear these shoes. The other problem with these shoes is they have been known to cause sprained ankles and problems with your arches and other problems with your feet. Why do we want 7-year-olds wearing these shoes? Okay, and it's sad that they degrade boys to the point where boys look stupid. Like they're so they just can't keep up with us because we're just too cool. So then you're getting into the bullying thing. That was almost like a bullying technique to bully boys. In my opinion, I hated it. I cannot believe this. Back when, like right after I graduated, I graduated in 1999. Jeremy and I both did. And I can remember in 2000, 2001, 2002, I saw a commercial that absolutely outraged me, and thank God they pulled it, because that was when the lowrider jeans were really big. Back then, like the hip hugger jeans, like right above, like Britney Spears was wearing them, and Jessica Simpson, and all the girls were wearing, and they went right above your woohoo. And I remember watching this commercial. It was a back to school commercial, and this mom was looking at her daughter. She put on her new hip hugger jeans, and the daughter says, "How do I look, Mom?" And the mother walks over. This is a commercial for these jeans. The mother walks over, pulls the jeans down to the point where the girl's, it's so low, it's right above her butt. And she says, "Now you look good. Go for it, girl." I'm serious. That was pulled in, it was like less than a month. That was off. Why are we allowing these people to continually make these things and air them and expose our children to this? All it is telling girls, you're not pretty enough. You're not skinny enough. You need a 7-year-old needs to tone up her butt. I mean, that's just sad. And so I thank the parents who were out there picketing this ad, but the sad thing is, Skechers is still selling these shoes. Just like Abercrombie & Fitch is still selling the padded bikini tops for 7-year-olds. They're still selling those. So we go from padded bikini tops for 7-year-olds 2 months ago to now we got... So 7-year-olds are being told, well, I have to have a padded bikini bra at 7 so I can have fake cleavage, so I can look good. And on top of that, then I have to wear my shape-up shoes because I have to tone my butt. That's just wrong. So, parents, we don't have kids, but if we had kids, oh, wow. I don't know how parents deal with all that is being thrown at children today. I really don't. But God bless you if you are out there on the front lines fighting for your children. God bless you. And, shoot, I pulled up the wrong thing. And lastly, I found this article on worship.com. And a youth event volunteer says, the church has failed today's youth by bribing them with pizza and video game gospel.
Now I have to interject in this. I have gone to a church that did the pizza thing with the youth, and they had Sunday school, right? Sunday school was cool because they had it broke up into age groups.
Yeah.
But when you got after the age of 17, you had the 18 to like 20 some odd group. There was only 4 people there. The youth group was 250 some odd.
Yeah.
And they would buy pizza every Wednesday, and we would watch movies.
Nobody would come.
And then the next level after I graduated was bringing in the video games. This is when Xbox was big, and they started bringing in Halo. Halo is an M-rated game. I've played it to prove a point, to see and verify with my own eyes why a church would want to bring this. And they're doing it because they want to bring people in. You want to bring people in, not necessarily to save them, but they're wanting to bring people in because they want to get a paycheck.
Yep.
That's what it really comes down to. Because why do we have to? Because if you set up a teenager or even a young kid, it's just like when you do Sunday vacation Bible schools, or when you are working with youth, preschool kids, and even teachers can relate to this. Does every teacher every single day give all your kids candy? Every single time they get an A on a test, you give them candy? I don't think so. Every single time they do something, you're going to get... Do teachers go around giving candy for kids to come into school? No, they give awards like stars. You get awards and letters saying for not missing school. And you can get awards for scholarships and different things that matter. But what happens is when you don't properly set up kids...
Yeah.
By just doing this whole pizza thing, yeah, it brings people in. Yeah, some people get saved. Yeah, some things happen. But majority of the time... these kids stop going when they get older, and it's because they don't have. They are become a generation of gimme, gimme, gimme.
I expect you to give me something to make me come to your church.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you going to give me to go to your church?
What are you going to... You going to give me a TV? You're going to give me... what are you going to give me? Because I don't want to come to your church unless you're going to give me something. That's what we've done to kids today. They expect something for nothing. They expect just, what are you going to give me? I'm not going to show up. I ain't going to come to your house. I'm not going to clean the house. I'm not going to obey you, Mom, unless you give me something. And parents have continually, well, here, kid, have this. That'll shut you up. I have seen that firsthand. This is what I saw when I worked at Walmart. I worked in the bakery department. We had a box of cookies where kids could come up and get a cookie when they would come visit the store. There were parents. These kids were screaming, hitting their parents, and they said, well, if you will stop it, I will give you a cookie. You better believe that kid stopped because he wanted that cookie. Mm-hmm. Yes, they did.
So I'm reading this article, So
here's what it says. It doesn't say who wrote this, but the person who wrote this said, Drew Dick. Drew Dick wrote this. I don't know who he is, but he was a youth volunteer, and he says a few years ago I volunteered at an event, but put on by a national youth ministry. The evening was fun but grueling. We bombed for apples, captured flags, and raced eggs across the floor using only our noses. The games culminated with a frigid indignity. I laid on my back and let 3 giggling teenagers make an ice cream sundae on my face. As I tiled chocolate syrup for my chin, a leader ordered the teens into a semicircle. It was time for the devotional, which included a gospel presentation, but it was a gospel presentation that made me want to stand up and scream. Being a Christian isn't hard, he told the group. Youth leader told the youth this. Being a Christian isn't hard.
You see this, folks, right here.
You won't lose your friends or be unpopular at school. Nothing will change. Your life will be the same, just better. Hello. That's what I say. Hello. Maybe his words would have slipped by me if they hadn't been such blatant reversals of Jesus' own warnings about the offensiveness of his message or the inevitable hardships of following him. I glanced at the teens. One was flicking Dorito chips at a friend. Others whispered to each other or stared at the floor. None of them seemed to be listening. And why should they, I wondered? Who cares about something that involves no adventure, no sacrifice, and no risk? Unfortunately, what I witnessed that night is hardly unique. Often, ministries, especially youth ministries, are heavy on fun and light on faith. And I totally agree with that because I've experienced that myself. It's fired up entertainment and watered down gospel. Perhaps we've settled for entertaining rather than developing followers of Jesus. The real problem is when they displace spiritual formation and teaching the Bible, we're distracted from doing the real work of youth ministry, fostering robust faith. Jim Rayburn, the founder of Young Life, liked to say, it's a sin to bore a kid with the gospel. A generation later, that philosophy morphed into an entertainment-based gospel that has actually produced entertainment numbness and an avoidance of the gospel's harder teachings. So this guy, after experiencing a youth night where a youth youth pastor told the teen, said, being a Christian isn't hard. You'll never be unpopular. Everybody's gonna love you. There's nothing. Everybody loves Christians. Just come to church. Everybody's gonna love you. Wow. You know what? I would have to say that's a lie because I was a Christian. I went to school and I went through a lot of stuff when I was in high school. We both did, and I was. After school, I was out and I was playing drums from the age of 15. I was a freshman, sophomore in high school, and I was out Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, weekend revivals, and I was playing drums for church. Do you think I was popular? No. I was not popular. If I'd have been playing in the church band, if I had been playing a school band or playing for some rock band, yeah, I'd probably been popular. But I didn't want popularity. Popularity's not going to get me anywhere. Truth is going to get me somewhere. So, we've got like 1 minute. What are your last thoughts on this?
My last thoughts are, if you really want to make a difference in the lives of youth, you're going to have to get more serious.
Yes.
I've been involved as a youth pastor. Me and my wife both have been youth pastors at different churches before. And being involved in different ministries and whatnot. I have to tell you that if you don't wake up and catch the flame of what God is trying to do, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on everything that God has for you.
And if we continue to tell kids, like this youth pastor, youth director, leader did, saying, it's not hard, you're not going to be unpopular. When they get out in the real world and they start talking about their faith and they talk about how much they like to go to church, they're going to fall. There is no cornerstone. There is no foundation there. All you have is games, video games, pizza. And that's all the foundation there is. And that's not a cornerstone for someone's faith.
All right, and we'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Welcome back, guys, to JMCLive.com. We are JMC Ministries, and this is JMC Live.
And at the break, what did we play?
The End of the World.
It's The End of the World as We Know It by REM. But actually, it was DC Talk redoing it on their live CD they did back in the late 90s called Welcome to the Freak Show.
Oh, yes.
And it was awesome. We were sitting here headbanging. We were just going crazy. Because they say it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Do you feel fine? It's supposed to be the end of the world today, Jared. Do you feel fine?
I don't know. Am I fine?
If we're singing that song, we feel fine, I guess. Right?
Well, like I said, at the break, and at the top of the hour, I said we're going to cover what's happening with Israel, and I'm wanting to cover the rest of Israel here for you. We know there's a lot of stuff going on with Syria, with the people being killed, and the riots, as you can kind of see from the video here. And then the other big thing I want to tell you, for the end of what I said earlier, the BBC has posted a history of Israel, and I'm going to go from this to the biblical truths about how this is not the end of the world and why it's not. Now check this out with me. You have the 1948 State of Israel founded. Then there's the War of the Sinai Campaign in 56. 1967, the Six-Day War. 1973 is the October War. 77 to 79 is the Egyptian-Israeli peace. Is an agreement for the Sinai that signals an end to the 30 years of war. 1982, the Lebanon invasion, because that's where Lebanon was attacking them. And then here's the other big news, and I know this thing's scrolling all over the place. The first intifada, and we're going to talk to you about what an intifada is. In 1987, the Palestinians started to call their exodus, because they had their own form of exodus, as I showed you with the map earlier, how they ended up having to leave and change the land. So then all these Jews that were in the rest of the world, because Hitler just got defeated, they still weren't welcome in Europe, and they were being killed still. So the UN, to avoid a genocide of the Jews, allowed them to set up in 1948 the state. And as you see, there's more wars. Now we have the Oslo Agreement in 93. The second intifada happened in 2000. And the wall goes up as Israel pulls out of Gaza in 2005. Another Lebanon war in 2006. And 2008 till present, more fighting in the Gaza Strip and etc. It's gotten crazy. It's gotten out of hand. And the big thing that has happened is normally the United States. Normally, the United States, and I'm saying that several times for emphasis, supports Israel. Well, look at this. Now we have President Obama stating, let's go back to the 1967 borders. let's go back to the 1967 border. So here we go. I will show you and just show you a comparison of the two slides between 1967 to present. Now, like I said, it's very true and biblically proven that all the Jews are going to be scattered amongst the world. That's what happened before 46, when Palestine was all in charge. This on your left, above me, and I'll make it 3D split so you can see this better. This is the white of Israel and the green of Palestinians. Where have the Palestinians gone? They've gone to other countries. Because technically Israel doesn't have its own country. This is a piece of land that two factions of people are fighting over that won't agree over anything. Currently, due to the fact that more Jews have moved into this over here on the right, is what currently we have occupied Israel. So, do you see why the emphasis about moving back to 67 is so crazy? Do you see this little tiny speck dot? I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to make it full screen. This little speck dot right here where my mouse is where Jerusalem is. Is that very defensible? You got right over here in front of them, they can be bombed. They can be bombed completely all around. This is why they wanted them completely moved out. The problem is, Palestinians say Jerusalem and Bethlehem is theirs. They want this 1947 piece of land again. And honestly, if I show you again the slides, and some of you guys have actually seen this already on Facebook, etc., of the map of actual Israel and what the land of the biblical times were. Look at this, guys. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. And all of these non-Jews said, you can't even have a little smidgen. Now, who's the bad guy here in the overall picture? Israel has given up all of these lands. There are other countries now. This Egyptian, Saudi Arabian, or Jordan, Libyan, Syria, Iraq land, etc. is not even up for grabs. We're just talking about this little sliver right here. You see the white and this gray. It makes me angry because the time has come where we need to wake up and stop playing around with church. And this is biblical prophecy. What does this have to do with the rest of the show? I'll tell you. We have this guy right now. His name was Harold Camping. And he said back in 94, end of the world. 95. Someone else said in 2000, end of the world, 2005. We've got all these people. Now the Bible is very clear that as the end times come, and I'm going to start with that, when the end times come, we will have false prophets. And you're like, what am I talking about? What's a false prophet? A false prophet is someone who will deceive the elect and pretend to be something that they're not. So here we go. Matthew 7:15. Matthew 7:15, guys. Here we go. It's quite simple. Matthew 7:15. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing. Well, okay, what are you talking about, sheep's clothing? Well, back in the day, and even still here, if you're a farmer and you're taking care of your sheep or even your cows or whatever, if you live in an area where there's bobcats, you live in an area where there's wolves and lions, bears, tigers, oh my, wherever you live, and you have animals, even your little cat and dog, you don't want things to be careful. So this old saying, sheep's clothing, what they mean by it was a wolf, and it's based on the Aesop tale where they had the sheep skin on the wolves, and actually different tribes of people have actually put skin of animals on themselves and crawled on the ground amongst the animals of sheep and whatnot to capture people. That's what this is talking about. But inwardly, continuing on in 15, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do not pick grapes from bushes or figs from thistles. Likewise, every tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. Verse 18. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. 19. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. 20. Thus by their fruit you will recognize them.
Well, we definitely recognize that guy now, don't
Going
we?
further, we got verses 21 through 23. Here we go. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is heaven. Verse 22. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? And did we not drive out demons and in your name perform many miracles? Or as, let me rephrase this and paraphrase this. I hope this doesn't step on anyone's toes, but let's connect this to all the dots tonight. Well, I did support, and I gave my tithe to the church. And didn't I order lots of pizzas, and we had 5,000 kids come, and supposedly all these people got saved? Or didn't I I gave money to the homeless guy? Or didn't I speak in tongues? Or didn't I put holy water on this person? Or didn't I do this? But at the same time, if it's I, and not Jesus used me as a vessel, and I'm an humble servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. I am an ambassador of my Lord Jesus Christ, and I come before you humbly to want to serve you. If you don't hear those kinds of phrases and words, and it doesn't matter, people are so fixated on culture. We at JMC Ministries, we're counterculture. We understand that the Bible is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Jesus Christ does not change. Jesus Christ does not wear different clothes every single day.
His love does not change.
His love does not change. His methods do not change. It's repent and follow me. Take up my cross and follow me. Learn my word. Take on who I am and be an imitator of what I do. And the problem is we're not doing this anymore. Here's what's happened today. We have all this calamity and all these crazy things of people worrying about. We had people kill themselves over this prophecy of this dude saying it's in the world tomorrow. Specifically killing themselves because they did not think they were righteous. Do you realize the Bible compares humans to tampons, to rags that are just filthy, dirty, covered with maggots? And in Jesus' own words in Matthew 6:25, he states, Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life. Don't worry about what you eat or drink, or about your body or what you will wear. Is it not more than food, and the body more than clothes? Now I want to pause for a second, and I'm going to go full screen, because I know there's a lot of people out of jobs. And I know there's a lot of people out of work. And yes, God does worry about your life. But it's different about letting God taking care of it and saying, well, I got to find a job and I got to find this. Some of you need to leave where you're living. Some of you need to apply for food stamps. Yeah, I'm saying that as a Christian. Some of you need to get your resume worked on. Some of you need to go back to church. Some of you need to ask for help. I think one of the bigger problems we run into our ministry is we have people come to us when it's too late almost. It's in the darkest of hours. It's in the middle of the night. And they're like, well, I haven't had food for 5 days. Well, I haven't been able to pay my rent for 3 or 4 months. I'm like, why do you wait until the last minute? Because worry and sin gets piled on our shoulders as human beings, and we live the human lifestyle, especially in America, where we don't want to ask for help and we don't want to try and do different things. So things just pile up and pile up and pile up. The other side of the coin is, there are Christians out there that see these people on the street that are saying, I'm hungry, and you don't give them food, you flip them off, or if you don't flip them off, you just ignore them like they're not sitting there. Or you see Facebook posts, and MySpace posts, and whatever posts, emails, etc., Twitter, and someone saying, I need some prayer today. What do? You just pray and say, I'm praying. Do you ever try and send a private message to them and ask them, hey, well, how can I serve you today? Jesus Christ called all of us to be servants. Let's continue to read on. 26. Look at the birds in the air. Do they not sow or reap or store away in barns? This is what we're talking about here. Some of you need to start storing stuff up. And I know some of you don't have enough money and enough food stamps and enough time to put a storehouse for actual food. What you need to do is you need to make a list of people who can help you.
But see what it says is the birds, and even the lilies of the valley, They don't reap or sow, but God takes care of them.
Verse 27, can any one of you by worrying add a single hour to your life? The answer is no.
No.
Why do you worry about clothes and foods and stuff and labor and spin? You know? And then we go on in 30. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which are here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will He not clothe you? Don't worry about what you eat. Don't worry about what you drink or wear. That's what pagans do. Mm-hmm. And anyone who's not a Christian is technically a pagan. I'm not talking about someone who wears a hat and drives on a broom, or wears a weird inverted cross or a pentagram or whatever. If you're not following God, you got a choice. You got two masters you're either following, Jesus Christ or you're following Satan. I don't care what religion you believe in. I don't care what denomination you are. If you make a choice, yes, you have your free will. But in your free will, you're making a choice to make your free will to serve God or make your free will to serve Satan. And it's your choice which one you're going to do. Because in the end, you're going to be judged. So I have to tell you guys, when we see these signs in the world, why in the world are we allowing ourselves to cause more problems? Now here's the other side of it.
By this guy saying all this stuff,
by this guy having
scared, he caused people to stumble in their faith.
A lot of people stumble in the faith. A lot of people spend almost $200,000+ on billboards.
Yeah, when they could have been feeding people or helping people instead of scaring them to death. Gosh. While Mr. Camping was scaring people, we helped a woman raise $1,000 to get herself a vehicle.
Yeah. Now check this out. Matthew 18. Matthew 18. I know I probably lost some of you guys because we had some sound issues. Can you get out of the chat?
We don't have sound issues.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't. It's been fixed.
But anyway, let's carry on. Yep, I got some problems with some sound apparently. I'm going to try and bear with this and go on. This is Matthew 18. I'll type it in the chat. Matthew 18. Here it is. If anyone causes one of these little ones, we're not just talking about little kids, we're talking about adults, young people, etc. It says, if any one of you causes someone else to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large stone hung around their neck and drowned in the depths of the sea. It reminds me of some kind of old 1947 thing where they would take buckets and pour cement and drop people off the bridge.
Oh yeah, anyway, the Mafia did that.
That's what the Mafia did. You'd be no better off than getting knocked out and having you go into the mattresses by the Mafia. Anyway, that's a guy thing and Miranda thing. Okay. Anyway, verse 8.
Wait. That's a guy thing and a Miranda thing. So Miranda.
We got to stay focused. Okay. Verse 8. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, just change it. It says cut it off. I'm not telling you to cut your foot off. I'm telling you to make changes in your life. If your hands and your feet and your eyes is what verse 8 and 9 is talking about. Because by the things that you touch and the things that you see cause you to move into a place that you're not supposed to do. And it gets really creepy. It gets really bad. And I'm telling you, no. Now back to Matthew 24. Matthew 24:4. I know this is not big enough for some of you. Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceives you. How many of you guys been fooled and had someone play a trick on you? As a kid, they said, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Someone hide behind the door and boo, you know?
No.
Or whatever. But anyway.
Well, can I share?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're like stopping me. No. There are people out there who are gullible and naive like me, who believe, like my mom says, oh, did you hear about the person that got this phone call the other day? And she's telling a joke. But she gets you to believe she's telling you a true story. And at the end, she hits the punchline and you realize, oh, shoot, she got me. That's basically what this, it was a joke. But this guy telling these people, the world's going to end today, be prepared, trying to scare everybody. He went beyond just playing a joke. He affected people's lives.
Oh yeah.
Some permanently. And he's going to have to be stand accountable for that.
Alright, so here we go again. Going back to the verse, check this out. He says, many will come claiming I am the Messiah and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you're not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will go against nation, kingdoms against kingdoms, famines, earthquakes, pestilence, plagues, beginning of birth pains. I call it earth pains. Then you'll be handed over to be persecuted and put to death. Do you realize this verse here in verse 9, it doesn't say, oh, the rapture comes and all the Christians disappear, does it?
Yeah. There's Christians dying every day.
What if I told you right now there are Christians in China, Iraq,
North Korea,
Egypt, Mexico, Canada, United States, all of the four corners of the world.
Everywhere.
Christians are being killed because you're saying you're having a church service, or you're wanting to preach outside somewhere, or you're trying to feed people, or you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. We're all being told we're wrong.
Yeah. We're not supposed to.
We're not being killed yet in the United States, but we are being fined and put in jail.
Yes, we are, just because we
want to. And it says, you
people
will be hated by all nations because of me. And at that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. Ooh. Many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. The love wins story junk about hell's not real. This Harold Camping guy, the Y2K, emergent church, church in a bar,
homosexuality is a gift from God.
Different, I can go on and on and on. I'm not going to get too much into it because it'll make some people angry, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Verse 12, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. Mm-hmm. So in the end of days, unlike Rob Bell's book, Love Wins, love's not going to win in the end. The love in the hearts for those that are truly following Jesus Christ, you'll be killed for your love.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
13, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. 14, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Now here's the thing. There are 3,000 languages left in the world that need to have a Bible translated. While everyone is focused on the New King James and the King James 1611 Bible, there are still people that don't even have that version. And I guarantee it's not going to have ye, they, thou, this, that, this, at the end of it. Because I doubt some of these 3,000 languages are going to have a this and a this and a thee and a thou in it.
And
but it might be a version of that.
And my whole point of, I found all these scriptures. And you know why I took Matthew? Because this is what Jesus said. It wasn't just, a prophet. This is what Jesus said, man. He said this. These people are going to do this, and they're doing it. Mm-hmm. It didn't come from, like Paul, or it came from the man himself. It came from God, and he said this was going to happen. I mean, why beat around the bush? Why do we have to go to the middleman? We go to Matthew, and Jesus said it right there. The red letters.
And then here it is, 24:15. So when you see standing in the holy place, now this is what we talked about the other week about the third temple. The third temple is in the process of being built. So it's not, we could be living in the end of days, I'll give you that, but it's not the end of the world. Wormgood, the asteroid has not come to crash it. Wormwood.
You said
I call it Wormgood because the people are going to think this is cool, it's an asteroid, we're going to stop it probably. That is not happening yet. So, when you see standing in the holy place, the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand, and then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one in the housetop go down and take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. Do you realize all these people are going to have to run away? I mean, it's like, oh, woe to the women. Now, another sign and wonder that has been fulfilled in prophecy is that the days should be shorter. It's right here in 22 through 25. And later on in the verses, where it talks about in Matthew that a woe, because it's connected up here by the pregnant woman, woe is the woman that has kids, but woe for them because the days will be shortened. 26. If anyone tells you, there he is, go out in the wilderness, do not go out. Here he is in the inner room. Do not believe it. For as lightning comes from the east, is visible even in the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man. Mm-hmm. Wherever there is a carcass, there vultures will gather. Now, I'm saying these things because you have to realize that the end of time and the end of days is here, yes. But the gathering and the word rapture is not technically in the Bible. The word is called gathered up and caught up and brought up together in heaven. the dead in Christ shall rise. Not the word rapture. Rapture came later on, just like the word Christian came later on, which means little Christ, which means imitate Christ. So that's a whole little point I can give you. So I have to tell you, it's these days...
Read also Matthew 24:36. Because Mr. Camping said, I know when the end of the world is going to happen. But Jesus even said, but about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Nobody knows. So if anybody comes and tells you, I know when the end of the world is going to happen, I know what day and what hour, I'm going to say, well, my Bible says different. That is the only proof that we needed to shut this guy out and shut him out and shut him up and stop him from this. And why are we allowing him to cause so much chaos across the world? One man got everybody scared, and
we
all
got
we had
atheists.
to do,
Here's the bad part. The atheists are celebrating right now, calling Christians retarded. That they believe this camping guy because he's all over the news right now.
He has $1 million church.
And all these people are making fun of Christians because of this.
Mm-hmm. But why? I mean, all we have to do, people, if we hear somebody saying that, open up the Bible. Don't just.
And here it is, verse 42. Therefore keep watch, be a watchman on the wall, for you do not know what day your Lord will come. But understand this. If the owner of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch, would have not let him into his house. So you must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you don't expect him. God's going to come when you don't know it, when you least expect.
When people say, I never read the Bible before, what book should I read? Especially with what's going on in the world. You read Matthew, man. You just read all of Matthew, and you read what Jesus said, and you have got the whole thing.
And this is what Jesus wants you to do.
Yeah.
In verse 37 through 39. And then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go visit you? And back up here, and I'm reading it backwards on purpose.
And it's Matthew chapter 25 we're reading.
Matthew 25, that was verse 37 through 39. Now we're going to read what happened before, because you need to know. Verse 35. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. And when I was in prison, you came to visit me.
Okay, I want to say something real quick. So Jesus said to minister to people, we go and feed the need. We supply their need. We don't go and beat them over the head with the Bible. We don't stand there and scream at them and say, you're going to hell, and everybody's a sinner, and you're all going to hell. That is not what Jesus said to do. He said, if you want to serve me, serve others. Feed them, clothe them, love them. Love one another. He didn't say go out and scare everybody to death and cause chaos and confusion and all this other madness. He said just take care of one another. Love one another. And love me. Because I have loved you. I have loved you so much. I died on that cross for you. And I took your place. And that's what we have got to get back to the basics. There is so much
Yes, Tim,
crap.
we talked about that last week, about the Rapture dog service.
Yeah.
You'll have to check that out on the podcast. That was last week.
Yeah. That was in part 2. We talked about that.
Yeah, part 2 we did that. I know a lot of people see the breaks on all this stuff. And we lost a lot of viewers because of what we just said, because most people are living in these kinds of churches. They're living in this kind of mentality where you just go and you sit in a pew. That's why we're going to start talking more about how to pray. We're going to start talking about how to tithe and how to properly, be the body of Christ, because I think we've lost track.
Especially after all this mess, yes. People are so riled up and confused and what the heck.
Yeah, too many people are not focusing in on what Christ can do for you and how Christ can transform you. And yes, being a Christian causes persecution. Yes, you're going to be made fun of. You're going to have people probably try and hurt some of you. And you're like, this is not a happy, happy, joy message. But the joy is in what are you willing to do to serve your Lord, your God.
And to serve your fellow man and help them. Because like that crazy youth minister in the first half, in that article, he was telling his youth, these youth saying, "Oh, you're going to be popular. Nothing will change your life if you become a Christian." I'm telling you, man, the first time you walk up to the outcast table, if you're sitting at the popular table and you go to the outcast table and you start saying, "Hey, I want to be your friend," them popular kids are going to say, "Adios, amigos." They ain't going to want nothing to do with you.
You know,
and you will be the outcast.
Yep.
But at the same time, you will be popular. You will be popular to them because you loved them and you cared enough to reach them where they were.
Oh yeah. So I challenge you tonight. I challenge you tonight to examine your heart. Your heart for the Jews. Your heart for your country. Your heart for your family.
Your heart for
your heart for your job. Your heart for your friends. And more importantly, your heart, your love, your soul, your mind, has it been completely taken captive by Jesus Christ? As the old saying was, are you too legit to quit? And then, are you sold out for Christ? You have a choice today of two masters. You'll be loved by one and you can be hated by the other. You can have everything in the world by one and you can have very little by the other. But in the end, you will be judged based on your deeds. You'll be judged based on how you lived your life. And specifically, is if you confessed with your mouth, is Jesus Christ your Lord. And if you have actually repented from your sins and made a change, a 180-degree shift in your life. I'm not saying you're going to be perfect. I'm not saying you're not going to be tempted. Being a Christian means you're going to be tempted. You're going to have problems. Things are going to go wrong. Being a Christian does not mean, oh yeah, I pray to Jesus and I get all my job and I get all this stuff. I've been homeless, folks. And I still serve Jesus. I've been beaten. I've been raped. I've been abused. I've even been peed on. And I still serve Jesus. I've been cut. I've been shot at. And I still serve Jesus. You have a choice today. And Jesus wants you to know, God wants you to know, He sent His Son so you might live. And you don't have to, and it's not just a question of where you're going to be when you die, because that's what a lot of churches are focused on. Where are you going to go? Are you going to be in heaven or hell? A lot of us don't even talk about heaven or hell. But more specifically, how are you going to live your life on this earth? Will it be for Jesus or not? And I'm not talking about good deeds, folks. Because Satan's followers, those that do not follow Jesus Christ, they can give the most amount of money. They can do the most amount of things. They can look the best. And the ones that are making the most difference could be as simple as the person that works at your job taking out the trash, cleaning the bathroom. How are you serving Christ today? What are you doing to make a difference? I'd like to thank you guys for coming tonight. And we're going to close with prayer. I'm going to let Miranda start, and then I'm going to finish. Alright, office, pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you now for this time. We just pray that at the gathering of the saints and those that have listened tonight will reflect upon what is in our lives, that we'll start praying for our leaders, we'll start praying for the Jews and our family and our friends, and we'll start seeking after you. We'll start becoming Christ-like minded. We'll start praying for these 3,000 languages that need to be translated. Pray for the lost souls. How can we reach people? We don't have to be big pastors. We don't have to have a lot of money. We don't have to be able to know all things. But we know that we can do all things through you, Christ Jesus. But we want to be humble. We want to be able to serve you and be the hands and feet you called us to be. Lord Jesus, we thank you for this opportunity. And we thank you for those lives that have been changed tonight. God, we just love you, and we thank you for all that you'll do. Amen. Thank you for coming tonight, guys. We'll see you next week. God bless.